In 1998, some of us who were following the releases put out by respected UK reggae reissue label Blood and Fire Records were introduced to a 1970s Jamaican reggae label by the name of Jah Man Records. Blood and Fire's release of the various artists compilation 129 Beat Street, Jah Man Special, showcased familiar artists alongside less well-known or obscure ones, but highlighting a series of gems put out by Jah Man Records in the mid to late 1970s. Jah Man was a label that managed to achieve a distinctive identity with an almost complete commitment to roots and culture and Rastafari-oriented music with little concern for crossing over to any sort of a wider audience. Stay tuned for my look at Jah Man Records. The 1998 release of 129 Beat Street, Jah Man Special by Blood and Fire Records, credited to Junior Byles and friends. Junior Byles, just the most well-known artist included, was yet another musical revelation to many of us who had not been into reggae all that long to that point. Each new release coming out from Blood and Fire Records, from comparative other reissue labels like Pressure Sounds at this time, seeming to open up new vistas, peel back the curtains on incredible music that had been made in Jamaica in the 1970s that many of us had never heard of to that point, and 129 Beat Street would be no exception, packed top to bottom with incredible songs of roots reggae, many of which we had never heard of before. The Jah Man label had been founded by Dudley Manzie Swaby in partnership with the late Leroy Bunny Hollett. Manzie had been born August 7th, 1953 in the parish of Clarendon, Jamaica. As a child, he moved with his family to the capital city of Kingston, and from there on, he began to brush up against the city's thriving music scene from a very early age. His grandmother lived on Love Lane, very close to where the grandmother of founding member of the Scatolites, Don Drummond, lived. So as a child, he would see the great Don Drummond coming to visit his grandmother in the neighborhood. He would attend St. Martin's School on Ivy Road, which would back onto the rear yard of Cox and Dodd's Studio One, located at 13 Brentford Road. So while still a child at school, Manzie could see the comings and goings at Studio One, observe the great artists like Alton Ellis, like Ken Booth, relaxing in the backyard in between sessions. When he was feeling bold enough, Manzie would even sneak into the studio, see if he could observe the goings on there, until the boss man, Coxon, would shoo him and any other kids along. Getting into his teens, Manzie would move to the Craigtown area of Kingston, which had a gully bank where local Rastas, singers, musicians would congregate, smoke a little herb, fraternize, and reason, and he began to gravitate into this social circle, beginning to develop an interest in Rastafari himself. He would become friends with a singer named Junior Byles and another aspiring singer named Rupert Reed. Between the three of them, the nucleus of what would become Jah Man Records was formed, as the three would practice at Manzie's family home on Love Lane, singing, writing songs together. Another friend of theirs was Maurice Wellington, aka Blacka Morwell, founding member of the Morwell's band, well connected in the musician community, and Blacka Morwell would bring the three to their first professional recording studio. Manzie, having gotten a job as working for the Jamaican government about 1973, 1974, he would give that up to focus more seriously on making music with an eye to becoming a producer. That first session held at Randy's studio on 17 North Parade with musical backing by the Skin, Flesh and Bones band would yield the first single from Jawman Records, written and sung by the frail-voiced Rupert Reed. See the Dread Day would be a joyful ode to self-realization, of knowledge of one's roots and culture, the knowledge of I self, the inner reality. From you born, you know the roots. See the Dread Day, the first release, an instant classic from Jawman Records. Second Jawman recording session held at Randy's studio would result in 4 further songs for the fledgling label, 2 by a DJ named Neville Beckford, better known as Jawoosh. She Take a Set being another local hit for the label, while Free Up Me Ganja featured a controversial pro-herb lyric. Both those songs would feature on the first full-length LP from Jawman Records, DJ set by Jawoosh, entitled Psalms of Wisdom. Very rare DJ LP, never been reissued, not in my collection. That would appear on the Jawman label in Jamaica and in the UK on Black Wax. A couple of songs would also be done for the Morwells group, perhaps as a thanks or payback for their help in getting Manzie and Jawman Records off the ground. One would be Bit by Bit, which would be another local hit for the Morwells, not produced for Jawman Records, but appearing on the Morwells' own Morwell Esquire label and with some involvement from Manzie Swaby. That would appear on the Morwells' debut LP, Presenting, which appeared circa 1975 on their own Morwell Esquire label. This is a reissue on the Ohm Records label from a few years back, Morwell Esquire, and that would feature Bit by Bit, recorded with Manzie Swaby, local hit for the Morwells, and would also be included on the UK slightly altered version of that album a couple of years later as Crab Race, also including Bit by Bit. However, it would be 4 songs done with Manzie's good friend, the singer Junior Biles, quite a well-known headline singer that would provide a core part of the Jawman Records catalog. Only 4 songs. Junior Biles, in a very precarious mental state by the mid-1970s, distraught over reports of the death of Rastafarian deity, the Ethiopian Emperor Haile Selassie, a period of mental anguish that would see him attempt to end his own life and be sent to the Bellevue Mental Hospital, derailing his music career. However, Biles would contribute 4 songs of incredible quality, showcasing his unique emotional depth and honesty on them, and all of a militantly Rastafarian and roots consciousness. These would include Chant Down Babylon, militant, strident, and done as a duet with Rupert Reed. Chant Down Babylon on the Jawman label. This is from a series of 7-inch reissues put out circa 2005, 2006 by the Jammyland record store in New York. A friend of mine, as I recall, went in together and bought a batch of these singles direct from Manzie himself. Back in the day, the Blood and Fire Records, their website and forum days. Further 4 songs by Junior Byles would include Pitchy Patchy, declaration of his unwavering devotion to His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie, which says, "Let them talk, let them talk, let them criticize Jehovah, my Savior. I'll keep on riding," as well as the haunting "Remember Me," from the point of view of a man who knows he's not going to make it to Zion, and another duet with Rupert Reed. These sides would be rounded out by "Know Where You're Going," 4 songs of uncanny quality and emotional depth from the great singer Junior Byles.
Who God bless, no man curse. Chant down Babylon, chant down Babylon, chant down Babylon, chant down Babylon. We have come a long way, still got a long way to go. Though the road may be rough and the going gets tough, poor people today have lost and can't find the way. Too much separation, exploitation day to day. Black people, it's time to realize. Sons of the Most High shall be like the trees planted by the water, bringing forth good fruits now. In I own due season, because don't you know, time you know. He is the light of this world. There ain't no doubt about this, children. Most naturally, so let them talk, let them criticize Jehovah, my Savior. Just keep on riding. Remember me when you reach Mount Zion. Remember me when you reach on the other side. For I will praise Him with all my heart and soul. For in Him is the fountain of life.
Following those recordings with Junior Byles, the Jawman operation would relocate from Manzie's family home on Love Lane to take up an official shopfront premises on Orange Street in downtown Kingston. Orange Street having a fabled history going back to the ska days of the early 1960s, sometimes nicknamed Beat Street due to the preponderance of record shops and music-related goings-on there, and the Jawman address of 129 Orange Street, thus giving its name decades later to that Blood and Fire compilation, 129 Beat Street. Just an example of the record shops located there. The Jawman operations next door neighbor was Prince Buster's record shack at 127 Orange Street. The Jawman operation would be nicknamed the House of Music and would also switch from recording at Randy's studio to move over to Channel 1 studio on Maxfield Avenue with musical backing by the house band The Revolutionaries, but without skipping a beat in terms of musical quality, which was almost invariably roots and culture focused. All of these coming out as 7-inch singles at the time, some later cropping up on LPs, and much of it by lesser known or up-and-coming artists. Little known at the time harmony trio, the Itals, would record one song for the label, Temptation, for Jah Man, later included on the 1980s compilation from Nighthawk Records' early recordings, but originally done for Jah Man. Top-ranking female singer Hortense Ellis, sister of Alton Ellis, who Manzie had, as a schoolboy, observed in his Studio One days. Hortense Ellis would do a cover of Kiss and Say Goodbye by US R&B group The Manhattans. That would appear on Jah Man. This is the only original Jah Man 7-inch I have. Found this locally many, many years ago. Distribution by the House of Music, 129 Orange Street, produced by Dudley, Swaby and Leroy Hollett. Could even phone them at the time, Jah Man label, and of course these would all feature dub versions on the flip. Hortense Ellis would also record a cover of Errol Dunkley's Movie Star under the title Superstar. This again from that series of 2005 to 2006 7-inch reissues from the Jah Man label. Fairly obscure roots singer Blazing Fire would do Blood Dunza, also from the reissue series. That rides the same rhythm as Junior Byles and Rupert Reed's Chant Down Babylon. As well, highly individualistic roots reggae singers such as Pablo Moses would record sides for Jah Man. One People, the brooding meditation on the internecine political divisions and violence plaguing Jamaica in the 1970s. Alternative mix from that reissue series. One People by Pablo Moses would surface as an updated cut on Pablo's 1980 LP, A Song, released on Island Records. Originally done for the Jah Man label, different version of One People appearing on that LP. A DJ, Dr. Alimentato, would record Conscious Man for Jah Man, which would later find its way to his King's Bread LP, again circa the early 1980s, only song he did for the label. Another highly unique roots reggae singer, Bim Sherman, would record one of the highlights both of his career and the Jah Man label with Mighty Ruler. That would appear on a compilation from the UK called Danger, collecting some of his Jamaican sides. Mighty Ruler, another highly Rastafarian song from the Jah Man label that would also be included on that Blood and Fire compilation. As well, further sides would be done by Rod Taylor, Ronnie Davis, Freddie McKay, and many others. Lesser known roots reggae artist Still Cool would record What a Shame, this time on the Field Marshal label, a successor to the Jah Man label itself, overseen by Leroy Hollett, and again from that reissue series.
Good day, my people. One people, one spirit, Jah people of one flesh, one people,
1977, the second full-length LP would surface from the House of Music located at 129 Orange Street in downtown Kingston. The Jawman label had continued to pump out a steady stream of 7-inch releases by singers alongside DJs such as Trinity, Josh Stitch, Brigadier Jerry, and Hugh Brown. The very first LP they released had been by DJ Ja Whoosh, the rare Psalms of Wisdom LP, having come out from him on the Jawman label in 1976. 1977 would see their second LP, and it would be a dub set, originally in a very limited pressing on the Jawman label with no cover art, I believe not even a title. However, it later came to be known as Jawman Dub. Original copies of that will set you back some considerable amount of money these days. As of this recording, there's 2 copies for sale on Discogs, both I believe well over $3,000. However, it was reissued on vinyl circa 2016, again by the Jammyland label out of the US. This again with no cover art. It seems to be circulating again as Jawman Dub with silk screened art. All tracks having herb-themed titles, Herb Cutter, Half Ounce, Big Spliff, and so on. This is on Jawman label as reissued by Jammyland and then picked up again by Only Roots out of Europe. Jawman Dub features dubs cut at Channel 1 Studio, where the Jawman sessions were now taking place. Manzie Swaby, a big fan of the studio's drum-heavy yet crisp and well-balanced sound. Various in-house mixing engineers handling the Jawman tracks. Ernest Hookham himself, part owner of the studio, along with staff engineers such as Ranking Barnabas, Maxie, Crucial Bunny, even Manzie himself getting a chance to handle the controls. Jawman sessions, a fairly relaxed affair. The musicians very comfortable, knowing they were going to be paid fairly. Everyone treated on an equal basis. Nothing held back from Manzie. He was allowed to learn the ropes of mixing tracks himself. This would include many of the rhythms they had built to that point, as done by the Channel 1 house band, The Revolutionaries, often credited on the Jawman tracks under various pseudonyms such as The Rebels, The Militants, more commonly the Jawman All-Stars, but it's basically the Channel 1 house band, The Revolutionaries, often with Sly Dunbar on drums, Robbie Shakespeare on bass, either together or separately. And these are often mixed in somewhat of the Channel 1 house style, fairly unfussy, generous dollops of reverb, very few vocal samples, I believe none at all on this LP. The occasional 7-inch B-side, more adventurous mixing. This was reissued on CD in 2002, the second Jawman release from Blood and Fire Records, flashing forward to 2002 from their original 1998 release of 129 Beat Street. They would issue the dub set by the Jawman All-Stars called In the Dub Zone, contained the entirety of Jawman Dub, as well as a later dub set called King's Dub, and filled out with some 7-inch B-sides and liner notes by Blood and Fire founder Steve Barrow, along with Manzie himself. This one never came out on vinyl, CD only, until making Jawman Dub unavailable on vinyl until that 2016 reissue by Jammyland. 1978, after 2 full-length LPs and any number of 7-inch releases over the previous few years, nearly all of which were of an unwavering quality, Manzie Swaby and his partner in Jawman Records, Leroy Hollett, would elect to go their separate ways. Hollett reportedly starting up the Field Marshal imprint, which he would oversee, although this 2000s reissue utilizing the label credits both him and Manzie for production. Manzie, meanwhile, would start up his own eponymous label, carrying on from where Jawman left off, releasing a series of 45s over the last couple of years of the 1970s, particularly with DJs, including an up-and-coming sound system toaster by the name of General Echo, who would shortly become famous or perhaps infamous, depending on your point of view, for popularizing slackness in DJing. That is sexually explicit material, although Echo's use of that was nearly always with a sense of humor, tongue planted firmly in cheek. He would release a series of 7-inch releases with Manzie. Here's the Manzie label, the only original I believe I own, A Little Dis, A Little Dat by General Echo. Flip side is the general version credited to the Revolutionaries, the Manzie label. Manzie would also issue an LP by General Echo in 1979 called Keep Rocking and Swing. That would also appear on Manzie. It would be reissued in 2006 by Equalizer Music, a short-lived successor to the Blood and Fire label, in a slightly expanded form as General Echo. Teacher for the Class, General Echo, comprising the entirety of the Keep Rocking and Swing album for Manzie Swaby. Equalizer label. There was a proposed Jawman DJ set, which was supposed to appear on a successor label to Blood and Fire Records. Did not ever materialize, unfortunately. Quite strong DJ material having appeared on Jawman Records. Around that same time, a second dub set would appear from Manzie Swaby's Quarters, again on his own Manzie label and utilizing many of the rhythm tracks from that General Echo LP. It would be known as King's Dub. This is a reissue from 2005, again through Jammyland in the United States. Manzie label there. King's Dub, again, Channel 1 dubs by the house band The Revolutionaries, various mixers on hand, Ranking Barnabas and Dudley Swaby himself credited on there. King's Dub, the title track, suitably majestic. However, General Echo's career was cut short the following year, 1980, when he was shot dead by police at a checkpoint in Jamaica, an incident which remains unexplained to this day. The following year, 1981, saw a hotly contested election in Jamaica, which saw Michael Manley's People's National Party overthrown by the conservative Jamaican Labour Party, led by Edward C. Aga, a sea change in Jamaican politics. Manzie Swaby's sympathies had always lain with Michael Manley and his socialist-leaning PNP, so the change in climate in Jamaica had Manzie looking to move overseas. He made an exploratory trip to the United States that year and then finally settled permanently in the New York area, where he started up a successful taxi company while intermittently keeping his hand in music, doing a bit of producing over the years on a sporadic basis, back and forth to Jamaica, keeping his hand in music as time allowed. Last I heard from him, he was in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where he manages a restaurant called Jamaican Dave's. I'm in touch with him on Facebook. He's been active intermittently, reissuing his old music. Got a birthday greetings on Facebook from him this year. So this has been my tribute to Manzie Swaby and his Jawman Records label, one of any number of Jamaican labels in the 1970s that put out peerless quality of roots reggae music in those crucial years of the 1970s. Thanks for watching, everyone.